Good morning and welcome to the regular Board of County Commissioners meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 28th. We do begin each of our meetings with an invocation. And this morning we have Joseph Winger from Boulder Street Church. We invite you to join us.
Good morning. I would like to invite all of us to participate in our scripture reading today out of Psalm 136. It's a long psalm. I'm just going to take a few passages and I will say a phrase, and then if you're comfortable and would like to join in, then we can collectively say, "For his mercy endures forever." And so if you're comfortable doing that, just join me. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercies endure forever. Give thanks to the God of gods, for his mercy endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his mercy endures forever. To him who alone does great wonders, for his mercy endures forever. To him who by understanding made the heavens, for his mercy endures forever. He did not forget us when we were down and defeated, for his mercy endures forever. He rescued us from the power of our enemies, for his mercy endures forever. He gives food to every living creature, for his mercy endures forever. Give thanks to the God of heaven, for his mercy endures forever. Lord of heaven and earth, we thank you for your presence here. I thank you for all of our commissioners. I thank you for our new commissioners, Wysong and Applegate. Father, would you continue to build this team, strengthen our leadership team, and may your goodness and mercy cover all county leaders, staff, almost 30 departments and 6 affiliate agencies. Give grace, wisdom, protection, peace, and a decisive wisdom with all that happens today. May El Paso County be uniquely marked by your goodness and mercy. And let us see uncommon goodness and mercy flood this county for your glory. Amen.
Thank you. And if I could surprise our district attorney and ask him to come forward and lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Republic.
Okay, we have completed items 1 and 2. We are on item 3.
Item number 3 is staff emergency items, and I'm unaware of any staff emergency items today.
Item 4.
Item number 4 is the consent to appoint deputy district attorneys. 4A, appointment of Adam Meyer, Elijah Jackson, Emily Ibarra, Jackie Markwood, and Madeline Ash. Michael Allen, district attorney.
Morning, commissioners. How are you all doing today? It's fun to be in front of the newly reconstituted Board of County Commissioners with 2 new commissioners, Mr. Wysong and Mr. Applegate. It's proud to be in front of you today. I do have 5 of our new deputy DA hires. First, and I'm not sure what order they're lined up in, but first is Adam Meyer. He's standing almost directly behind me. He got his JD and undergraduate from the University of Wisconsin. He has not brought his Wisconsin accent with him, I don't believe.
Oh, no, I did.
Okay, good. He did bring it today. He interned at the Brown County District Attorney's Office and the St. Croix DA's office, both in Wisconsin. Fun fact is he writes country music, which I did not know until I just read that this morning. So I'm looking forward to some country music about holding offenders accountable or something like that.
I did write a song about that.
Oh, good. Well, they may ask you to give us a few bars.
Well, I don't think.
Okay. Next is Aaliyah Jackson. She's standing next to Adam. She got her Juris Doctorate from the University of South Dakota Law School. She was the Cultural Wellness Coalition president. She graduated magna cum laude for her undergrad, and she was a legal research assistant. Her husband is from the Czech Republic, and she's learning Czech language, and she also has a twin who doesn't live here, I don't think.
Nope.
Yeah. And then next is Emily Ibarra, directly behind me. She got her JD from the University of Colorado and her undergraduate at the University of North Texas. She was a law clerk for several years and used to be a real estate agent. I know there's at least one other real estate agent in the room sitting way up at the top. She enjoys puzzles and camping and hiking. And one of Emily's favorite blessings in life is being a wife to her husband, David, and they've been married for 10 years. And then next is Jackie Markwood, all the way at the end. She got her JD at the West Virginia University College of Law, where I don't know that they require shoes at West Virginia, do they? Yeah. She got her undergraduate at Colorado State University in animal science, and she was an intern of ours while she was in law school. And she used to be a vet tech, and she plays the piano. So maybe we can get some music going in here. Yeah. And then that last is Madeline Ash. She got her JD at Indiana University, and she received a full tuition scholarship, something I was not smart enough to do. She also got her undergraduate at the University of Colorado and also interned at our DA's office 2 different times. She enjoys hiking 14ers and has completed 16, and it depends on who you ask. How many 14ers do we have in Colorado? 54 or 56? Okay. And she also enjoys watching the Columbus Blue Jackets for some reason. So I would ask the commissioners to grant consent to appoint these new deputy DAs. They are hard at work already. In fact, I think some of them have to hurry back over to court, but they've been doing fantastic work on behalf of the citizens of the 4th Judicial District, obviously all of El Paso and Teller counties. So I would ask for consent to appoint. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, the fun part. All right. Commissioner Williams.
Okay, Adam, come on up to the mic. First of all, congratulations. We're very excited to appoint you. Tell me about the country song you wrote.
So the one I particularly reference, I wrote several, is just about, it was actually inspired by the Teller County Courthouse. It's titled Saloon Door Courthouse. It's actually unreleased, but Mr. Allen's remarks made me think about it. It's about going and finding the rustlers and bandits who are causing trouble and a ruckus in our community and bringing them into the courthouse and bringing them to justice.
So do you have to go in front of the Teller County Commissioners as well to get appointed?
This is just a ceremonial thing that we do with the El Paso County Commissioners. We should potentially do it in Teller County, but that'd be quite a day trip, I think.
That would be kind of fun to have you up there singing that in front of some of them, but
I don't sing.
oh, you don't
do
sing.
not want me singing.
You're just right. Okay. Well, that's really exciting. So welcome to El Paso County. So that's the question I have for him. Do you want me to go through all my
Please
questions?
proceed. Yes, sure.
Okay. Let's see. Madeline, come on up. First of all, I never knew you could get a full tuition scholarship to go to law school. That's pretty cool.
And I'm still in debt.
In my senior years here, as I'm edging towards the age of 60, you know, and I've always wanted to go to law school, but I can't now because I refuse to go into debt just to go to law school. So that's
Commissioner Williams,
interesting.
if I could just interrupt you for a minute, I just want to remind you folks, please, as you step forward, feel free to adjust the microphone. If it's too far away, we can't hear you very well, and so please do adjust the microphone. Thank you.
Who are the Columbus Blue Jackets?
I have no idea who they are.
So
I'm
they
kidding.
are the best worst team in the National Hockey League. You may or may not have heard there was their star player. His name was Johnny Gaudreau. He signed an 8-year contract with the Blue Jackets, and he was tragically killed. Him and his brother were tragically killed by a drunk driver, I believe, in New Jersey over the summer, the night before their parents or his sister's wedding.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
And so this team used to be truly bottom of the barrel, worst NHL team, but they have gotten some kind of comeback going. They are still in the wild card position for potentially making it into the playoffs. So my whole life I've been a Blue Jackets fan. My whole family played hockey. I played hockey, and my dad worked on creating a youth program with the Blue Jackets and making hockey bigger in Columbus, Ohio. So it's sad because I want to be an Avs fan really, really badly, but once you commit to a team, you just can't stop. So
Yeah, you know, I'd love to be a Chiefs fan too, but I'm still Broncos. So, but all right. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay. Jacqueline Markwood. I like the fact that you are a veterinary clinic technician.
I didn't like it enough to stay.
But you also play the piano. I play the piano.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we could have a little musical thing here. Who is your favorite piano composer to play?
Probably, that's a hard question for me because I really have a favorite genre.
Okay,
I
what's
really-
your favorite
I
genre?
really like playing rock, oldies rock music.
All right.
So like, yeah. I consider oldies Billy Joel.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, we know who to go to the piano bar, and have her be the piano lady.
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe dueling pianos at the.
Yeah, dueling pianos. Sure.
Might need to practice a little for that.
Yeah, and then we could all pretend to sing, and it wouldn't sound great, but you know, they would keep us in the bar because we're special. So, and then certainly if you wanted to start prosecuting against animal cruelty, I've got a few cases for you that come in from constituents on occasion. So,
I think that's why I got the internship at this office to begin with.
yeah.
So,
Well, welcome.
thank you.
Okay. Did I write down any questions for Aaliyah? Come on up, Aaliyah.
Good morning.
What should, let's see. You used to be a cheerleading coach.
Yeah, I did at the University of South Dakota.
Awesome. Was that
Yeah.
interesting?
Yeah, it was. I've been actually in competitive cheer and dance my whole life, and then I came to the University of South Dakota. They took me on a scholarship there for cheerleading because at the time they didn't have a dance program. And then when I went into law school, I didn't have the time, obviously, commitment to be able to do the competitive cheer, and so they hired me as an assistant coach there. And so I just coached, and we would go down to Florida, compete in the nationals, and then it was super fun. Yeah.
All right. I was always the basketball player, I guess, on the team. But growing up, I spent a lot of time watching my brothers, and I spend more time watching the cheerleaders because they were more interesting.
Yeah, of course.
A secret young dream to be a cheerleader, but my height gave me a huge disadvantage there. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Emily. Oh, I like the fact that you are a real estate agent. So, congratulations on that. And what else could we ask you? You went to University of Colorado.
Yes.
Wonderful. Go Buffs. Yes. And so what was your favorite class in law school? And you can't answer criminal law.
Does evidence fall into criminal law then? Is that okay?
Evidence works.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed evidence. I still find hearsay to be quite a beast, and it makes me want to go back and sit in that class again. I wish I would have grasped more than teaching myself now. I had a wonderful professor, and I really enjoyed the class. I also really enjoyed constitutional law. Coming from a very small town, I grew up learning one way to think about things, and constitutional law taught me to think about things in different ways, and I really enjoyed how it opened my perspective.
Okay. I went to University of Virginia, took a constitutional law class from someone who at the time was really famous. I would have to work on his name.
Okay.
So, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, he's still really famous. I also took a class from Larry Sabato, but that's, a different thing. It was politics.
Okay. Other comments from commissioners
I figured
or questions?
I had to carry most of the roasting today because we have new commissioners here. So that was as good of the roasting as I ever get.
New experience. Yes. Comments or questions? Don't have to, but I'm just putting it out there.
just congratulations.
Okay, and I'll just check if we have Commissioner Bremer online. Commissioner Bremer, did you want to ask any questions or make any comments?
Sure, I'll just make a few quick comments. Thank you very much to each of you for deciding to commit to a career that has such a huge impact and for choosing to do that with, I think, the best DA in the state, Michael Allen. So we're just really proud to have you a part of the El Paso County team. We really value many of the things I heard you all talk about. And your roles in the Fourth Judicial District Attorney's Office is really key to our preserving the safety, the ability for you to go climb 14ers and write music and do all the things that you all value in your own personal lives. Thank you for sharing just a little bit of that with us today. And we're looking forward to having you on board at the DA's office.
And I will just add to that, as our district attorney already stated, this is really more of a ceremonial. So for those of you who are in the audience or watching and thinking these are very strange questions to ask people you want to know if they're going to be good attorneys, we have the utmost respect and admiration for our district attorney, who always does a fantastic job of selecting those folks. And though we do see all of the truly qualifying things on the resumes, it's always a little bit fun to get to know you a little bit. And so thank you for being open and sharing that. I feel like I must remark on the fact that, we've had a changeover here at the board, but if that had not happened, you would certainly have had former Commissioner Stan Vanderwerf talking about hiking and climbing 14ers. So a bit of a different flavor today from our new board members, but I like to ask the same question every time because it's just fun for me, which is, and I gotta say, you guys are the liveliest bunch I think we've had.
I think they are.
Everyone else seemed to be a little bit afraid, or just, maybe, following the good old practice of not sharing more information than necessary. But I like to ask, what is your favorite legal book, movie, TV show that tends to tell me a little bit about who you are, plus gives me some really good ideas for when I need a new read or a new movie to watch.
Anybody has anything? Come on.
I would say Just Mercy by Mr. Stevenson.
I'm personally a big fan of Boston Legal.
I knew that about you. I could tell.
I don't know. I don't really have a favorite, I guess. The only literal, I don't know why, Legally Blonde always comes to my mind, and I don't even like that movie that much. It's kind of just down, but that's all I can think of right now, honestly.
I think it's, you like to fight the stereotypes. This is my own interpretation here. You like to fight the stereotypes, right? You were the theater leader and the legal mind. You can have both, right?
There you go. That's a better description. That's perfect. Thanks.
When I was a little kid, I used to sit in front of the TV and watch A Few Good Men and could quote it all day long. My favorite movie of all time.
Now I feel like she's just sucking up.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah. I almost joined JAG, but then because of that movie, I was a little delusional and was like, that's exactly what I want to do, until I came here, interned with this office, and fell in love with it. So I found something better than A Few Good Men here, but...
Yes, for those who don't know, this is also our district attorney's favorite, and we get a quote every now and then. So all joking aside, nope, that's a great movie.
I haven't watched many legal shows. I feel like I'm very critical. And so when I watch something that I'm learning about or doing, I don't enjoy it. So I started watching Suits because everybody said to watch it. And I was so critical, but I finished the whole show. So I guess I would have to choose Suits.
Okay, very good. By default, winner by default. All righty. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And again, thank you for your commitment to our community. We know that the district attorney's office here in the 4th Judicial is just phenomenal and really sets the bar, I think, for the entire state of Colorado, and working hard to keep our community safe and truly being what sometimes is the light in Colorado of a lot of places where we do not have our laws enforced in a way that is keeping our community safe. And I know that the the laws in our state are challenging for you all to do the work that you need to do to keep our community safe, and we're really grateful for the hard work that you put in. With that, I will ask, is there a motion?
Yes, I would move approval for the appointment of Adam Meyer, Elijah Jackson, Emily Ibarra, Jackie Markwood, and Madeline Ash. I'm sorry, Aaliyah Jackson. Had to get that right.
Second.
Okay, that has been moved and seconded. Last chance if there are any last words here. All right, I will call the roll and we'll begin online with Commissioner Bremer,
Aye.
Commissioner Weissong,
Aye.
Commissioner Applegate,
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. All righty, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairwoman. And as I always say, unanimous verdicts are the best verdicts.
Item 5.
Item number 5 is changes, postponements, and notice of the next meeting. I'm unaware of any changes or postponements to today's agenda, and the next meeting will be February 4th at 9:00 a.m.
Item 6.
Item number 6 is the consent calendar, including items 6A through 6J3.
Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on an item on the consent calendar? Seeing none in the room, do we have anyone online? Okay, I will bring it up here for comments or a motion from commissioners.
I would move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, that has been moved and seconded. Are there any comments? I'll just double check, make sure online. Commissioner Bremer, do you have any comments? Okay.
No.
Then we will go ahead and call the roll, beginning again online with Commissioner Bremer,
Aye.
Commissioner Weissong,
Aye.
Commissioner Applegate,
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Item 7.
Item number 7 is comments by elected officials and commissioner liaison reports.
Okay, we don't have any county-wides outside of the district attorney who's just left, I don't think, in the room. And I'm going to double check online. Okay, we will bring it up here and we can begin again online with Commissioner Bremer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. I wanted to say thank you for your patience in my being online today. I actually plan to leave in just a bit and attend an exciting collaborative project in our region, which is the Ascend Center. It's a partnership with District 11 and many other human services organizations, including our own Department of Human Services. This will be a great asset and resource to the kids in District 11, those who may need a little more support in attaining their education and all the things they need to be able to succeed. And so I'm looking forward to being at that. That has been rescheduled now 3 times for weather, and unfortunately it is this morning on a Tuesday morning. So I'm going to do my best to be 2 places at once, but thanks for your patience on that. I also wanted to extend my congratulations to Susan Whelan, our public health director, who has served in our public health department from the very front lines for over 20 years. And I wanted to congratulate her and wish my colleagues that are now Board of Health representatives on the Board of Health. I want to wish you the best luck and success in ensuring the continuity and stability of that department. And I think really great things have been done there, and certainly a time of transition for all the employees there. But I know that that you all will do the best for our county residents, and I'm very grateful that Ms. Whelan has done that for over 20 years for our community. With that, that is all of my comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Weissong.
Well, good morning. I just wanted to follow up. This is starting week 3 for Commissioner Applegate and myself. We're in the process of attending a lot of orientation of the various boards and commissions. Last week, we were able to go to Department of Public Works, and then on Friday with the EDC Chamber, where Governor Polis kind of gave a state of what's going on up in the legislature. This week, military affairs meeting. Basically, we're talking about what's happening within the medical community, within the military. And they're doing a lot of good things where they're actually consolidating and trying to streamline the process. Any military that is using TRICARE, like any government agency, when you transition from one entity to the next, they're having a few issues, but they're working very hard and diligent to try to get that all taken care of. The rest of this week is the Drainage Board, Department of Human Services, and then the El Paso County EPC Economic Group, where we'll get our additional briefing. 3 weeks ago, talked a little bit about wildfire issues, since it was just blasting through LA. As of this point in time, 28 deaths in the LA area due to the fires. This one was a new one for me, but they're still missing 22 individuals. Over 16,000 homes, businesses destroyed, over 40,000 acres, and they're basically assuming at this point, and it will probably go up, over 60 billion with the B dollars to rebuild. It's a huge, huge cost. And just to kind of summarize, had the opportunity as we go out and talk more to more people, they're calling back. They're saying, hey, we got a question here or there about some kind of an issue. I wanted to stress that El Paso County has done a great, set up a great program. It's called Citizens Connect. And that program allows people to go online and actually ask questions. And we've got a great staff member or members that will try to help get that answer for you. Instead of having the commissioners, especially that are new, we don't know where to go, they're doing the heavy lifting there. They keep us in the loop. So if you do have questions or concerns, utilize the Citizens Connect capability that El Paso County has set up. And just kind of a last thing, everything that we do as members of El Paso County and the board, we want to be transparent. And that's one of our core values that as the board we try to stress. But that also means that the individuals, we've got to be accountable and we've got to be responsible. And part of that is utilizing the resources that we have and responding when needed when we get those questions. So it is a privilege, and continue to work with those people that are in my District 3, or they just have general questions about items within the county. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Applegate.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So a quick legislative update. As we know, some bills are going through State House right now in Denver because our state reps and our state senators are in session. So currently Senate Bill 25003 was one of the first bills to hit State House, and it's a ban on semi-automatic firearms and rapid fire devices. As this bill is written, it will currently ban 97% of all handguns sold in Colorado and 80% of all long guns. Senator Mark Snyder, he's from District 12. Majority of his district overlaps into Commissioner District 4 and Commissioner District 3, which is Bill Weissong's district. He is currently a sponsor for this bill. I urge everyone to call Senator Snyder, 303-866-4880, and please urge him, say, do not vote yes for this unconstitutional, terrible legislation. Thank you.
Commissioner Williams.
Okay. Good morning. It is so wonderful to be here today. I do want to congratulate Susan Whelan on her pending retirement. Susan, along with our former coroner, Leon Kelly, led the health department through one of the toughest times in my commissioner experience, which was through the COVID pandemic. Very tough decisions, lots of meetings, and honestly, a lot of public negativity towards those who were involved in making those decisions. I remember Christmas season in 2020, walking downtown while we were doing some shopping and running into a person in a dark hat and sunglasses, did not even recognize Susan. She had had such a bad week with so many citizens pushing back against her that she went out incognito to do her Christmas shopping. And so she's certainly served very, very well for El Paso County for many years. And I just want to congratulate her on a well-deserved retirement. I think that she'll be looking forward. It'll be fun to see what she does in the future. She is still what I consider probably going into another field after she's done, but she has led the health department through some very tough times, and I'm excited to see what she does in the future. This week, we had our PPACG Legislative Committee meet yesterday. That was very interesting. One of the bills that the state legislature has introduced, which I am in support of, is a bill that would make it so that elderly individuals could only withdraw so much. Apparently, there are Bitcoin teller machines now sitting right next to cash machines, and my mother 20 years ago was a severe victim of financial abuse from people outside of the country and on phone calls. And the fact that someone could call and say, if you send me $2,000 in Bitcoin, you've won the foreign lottery, is just important to me. And that's going to be a bill that's introduced at the state legislature to protect our elderly. I'm 100% in support of it. And it's just a start. There's really, the only people who can protect the elderly are the children of their parents. And so I always like to say, keep an eye on your parents when they get above age 70. Very important to have open lines of communication on the checkbooks and those kind of things so that you know how they're doing. Been paying a little bit of attention to the city council races. They're kind of fascinating, and also a little bit of attention to the city council meeting yesterday as they determine what ballot issues to place on city council ballot. So that'll be entertaining and fun to see who ends up changing over on city council. It is a thankless job, in my opinion, for $600 a month, and it's something that there's typically a lot of people showing up to city council meetings to speak on issues, and a lot of dedication from our current city council members, many of them whom are retiring. This week we will have CCI briefings. I will try to attend those as much as possible. I do have a medical procedure on Friday, so I may not be able to help as much as I'd like to. But our CCI gets together, we get together as county commissioners and look for issues that are important to county leaders and lobby at the state legislature. And that is it. Thank you.
Okay, and for me this week, I participated actually on Saturday. I had quite a few constituents who braved the snowy weather out in Falcon for a great little meeting just to update the community on things that are going on. It was a great opportunity to really get out there and let people know what things are actually going on in the county. So I always enjoy having that opportunity. I will be participating in a CCI meeting regarding a bill that would impact regulations around modular building. And I see that we have our regional building officer here today and some of his staff. That's something we've been talking about, working on closely together and trying to figure out the implications of those. Unfortunately, so many of the things that the state has done have increased the cost of housing here, and we are being very vigilant, trying to make sure we are doing a thorough look into what these regulations will do in order to do our very best to keep those housing costs down. I also want to mention that we are hard at work here at the county practicing and getting ready for the State of the Region, which will be on February 6th at 7:30 a.m. in the Ent Center, and those tickets are on sale now, so we'd love for you to join us at that. I will also be attending the State of Education put on by Engage the Rockies. I do sit on the board there and looking forward to that event, but I know all the commissioners received an invitation to that as well. And I just briefly, and I will make more comments about this likely on one of our other items, but I just want to say how grateful I am to wake up and see headlines that say that our federal government is working hard to remove criminals from our community, particularly up in Aurora. We've all heard so much about what's going on up there. 41 illegal aliens arrested and are now on their way to being deported. They are gang members. They have been terrorizing our community, and I am so grateful to have a federal government that is doing their job, keeping citizens safe, and working through those things. So very excited to see the safety return to our community in Colorado, even if our state officials are not as cooperative as we would like. Okay, and with that, I believe we are on item 8.
Item number 8 is Community Service Organization Reports. 8A, Pikes Peak Regional Building Department 2024 Year in Review. Roger Lovell, Building Official, Regional Building Department, and Greg DeGrando, PIO, Regional Building Department.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having us here today. My name is Greg DeGrando. I'm the Public Information Officer for Pikes Peak Regional Building Department. And along with me today is my boss, Building Official Roger Lovell. Normally, I'm the one backing him up, but today he's kind of backing me up, just in case you guys have any overarching questions on the department or any technical questions that I can't handle. But first, just wanted to welcome and say congratulations to Commissioner Wysong and Commissioner Applegate. We look forward to working with you guys in the future. For Commissioner Applegate, we look forward to continue working with you. For those who don't know, Commissioner Applegate sat on our advisory committee when he was wearing his fountain hat. So again, we do look forward to working with you. And of course, if you guys have any further questions as far as about our office, we're always happy to answer any questions that you guys might have. And of course, that goes for not only you two, but Commissioner Geithner, Commissioner Williams, anybody with the county that might have questions. We're always happy to help. So the reason that we're here today is we are going to go over our numbers with you guys. I'm going to back to the beginning. We do this every year. We come in and kind of go over our permit numbers for El Paso County. We serve 8 jurisdictions, El Paso County being one of them. So we will go over our total numbers as well as specifically get into the breakdown of El Paso County. Bear with me here. I'm trying to get back to the beginning. Almost there. Okay. So this is the beginning, so now I'll go ahead and move on. And again, if you guys have questions, feel free to interrupt me. I'll probably rattle through these fairly quickly, especially when we get to the maps. So looking at the 2024 highlights, housing construction sees a slight improvement in 2024. We had more than 3,500 apartments reach completion. New apartment permits dropped significantly, so that's the number of new apartments coming, getting permitted in the region. New commercial permits saw a pretty big decline. Re-roof permits remained high, and we saw a very large increase in inspections. So here's a breakdown of our single-family homes on the left in the orange. You can see it's broken down by month, from month to month, and at the bottom you have the totals. And on the right you have the commercial permits. On the left, the single-family homes, we came in at 2,854. That, again, as I mentioned earlier, is a slight increase compared to 2023. But if you look at, say, the last 5 or 6 years, it is still a little below what we've seen over the past 5 to 6 years. On the commercial side, things were down as well. 302 new commercial permits. That is down for the, certainly down significantly compared to 2023. So here's a look at the single family homes. Again, 2,854, that is up 7%. I broke those numbers down into detached homes, townhomes, and duplexes. Those are the three forms of single family homes. Detached homes always lead the way. We had 2,463. Townhomes, 273, and then duplexes, we had 118 permits. And each time we have a duplex, it's 1 permit, and it equals out to 2 units. The breakdown by jurisdiction, Colorado Springs led the way with 1,458. That was up 8%. El Paso County was just over 1,000, up 15%. Monument had 193, down 30%. Fountain was up 18%. And then Woodland Park had 38, Palmer Lake 7, Manitou 5, and then Green Mountain Falls had 0. On the commercial side of things, as I mentioned, 302, that's down 25% and down for the 3rd straight year on the commercial side of things. New multifamily, we had 838 new apartment units. That's down 63%, and it's the fewest number of new apartments we've seen since 2015. On the flip side, we did have a large number of apartments coming online. 3,795 units were completed last year. So that's, again, opening up available to renters in our area. A lot of those projects were permitted several years ago. As you guys might know, apartment projects do take quite some time. Some of the projects were actually permitted back in 2021. And they finally reached completion in 2024. By the end of the year, we had 6,060 apartment units still under construction. So we expect a lot of those numbers to come online later this year in 2025. Some of the notable commercial projects, we had the Patriot Park Apartments. That was a $60 million project. Abrams Elementary in D8. That was a $40 million project. We had 2 King Supers get permitted. We had one up in the Flying Horse area. I believe that just opened up very recently. And then you have one in the Fountain area as well. Those 2 projects combined, $37 million. You have the CSFD Fire Station number 24. That's up in the Interquest area, $10.5 million project. Bentley Commons is an affordable housing project. And then we have a number of new renovation projects happening at the Colorado Springs Airport right now, one of which is to kind of help get things ready for the international terminal. If you guys are familiar, Southwest Airlines made an announcement last year that they'll be starting international service to Mexico. So now they have to kind of have a specific area of the airport ready for that international travel. Notable projects that completed last year, we had the Ford Amphitheater project, the USAFA Visitor Center, and the Hotel Polaris. Hotel Polaris is open. The USAFA Visitor Center, although it's done on the building side of things, it's still being put together, the exhibits and whatnot being put together on the inside. The Epicenter Apartments, those are just south of the Switchback Stadium, 408 units. The Fiona Apartments, also downtown, 321 units. And then the Woody and Millie Guest House by the St. Francis Hospital opened up last year as well. Estimated valuation for all construction is $3.4 billion. So again, the construction industry continues to play an important role in our local economy. Plan review, that's another arm of our office. We had 2,879 plans coming in. That's up 6%. Residential alterations, we were down 13%. New commercial and multifamily, we were at 307. That's down 10%. And then the new commercial and multifamily, both down 6% on commercial, down 39% on multifamily plans coming in. Commercial alterations, we were up slightly by 1%, and the total plans, we were at 12,338. We were down 6%. Next up are our inspection numbers. Total inspections, we had 296,112 inspections last year. That was up 3%. We had, for the most part of the year, we had 63 inspectors out in the field, and the department averages about 1,100 inspections per day. Daily average per inspector is about 20 inspections each day. We are still offering same-day inspections. We're actually one of the only building departments in the state that offers same-day inspections, everything except for roofing and our elevator team. So that's something we're really happy that we're to be able to offer. It's huge for our local builders to be able to get those inspections very quickly and keep the process moving. Okay, so now we'll get into the maps, and I understand these are going to be a little small. If you guys remember Commissioner Geithner, Commissioner Williams, I always jokingly refer to these as Greg's beautiful green triangles. I have stepped up my game this year. Now you have green triangles plus red triangles and orange triangles. Ooh and ah. So we'll get into that. It's basically just showing the different types of single-family homes that we're building. So on this map here, you have a little bit of everything. You have the houses, but then you also have those purple squares. Those are going to be the apartments. And there are a very, very slight number of condos. Those are going to be the pink stars. On this slide, you'll be taking a look at our re-roof permits. This is what I always refer to as the big blue blob. Last year, we issued 16,139 re-roof permits, and that's actually down 9% compared to the year before. The hardest hit area last year was Lorson Ranch, southeast of Colorado Springs. So they did have a little bit of a spillover from the 2023 hailstorm, but then they also had another hailstorm that popped up last year in 2024. So that was kind of the area that we see the majority of work happening on the roofing side of things, but also on the roofing inspection side of things as well. So now I'm going to get into specifically for El Paso County. Single family homes for the county, just over 1,000. It was up 15%. And then some of the larger neighborhoods in the county, the Falcon area had 233. Sterling Ranch had 203. Lorson Ranch had 146. The Enclave at Mountain Vista, 77. Trails at Aspen Ridge, 53. And the Mayberry out in the Elcott area had 28. Single family estimated valuation for the homes, $678 million. That's up 41%. Residential alterations down slightly by 1%. Estimated valuation there, $172 million. So I'll breeze through these fairly quickly, but I did want to give you kind of the visual of the permits. So again, this is the Falcon area, 233 permits in this area. Sterling Ranch had a lot of activity. You can see most of them are detached homes, but there are a couple of townhomes. So those are the triangles that you see in red. On the right, you'll just see just a zoomed in version of Sterling Ranch, just to show you kind of a little bit tighter shot how much activity is happening in that area. Southeast El Paso County, I didn't really have a good name for this area, but you've got about 5 projects all kind of lumped into this one shot. You've got the trails at Aspen Ridge, Bradley Heights, and then off to the far right, you have Lorson Ranch and the Glen, and then the cottages at Mesa Ridge. That is really, really close to Fountain, but technically, I think that actually falls into El Paso County. Those are all duplexes down there. So I'll zoom in on each one of these. Again, the Glen on the left had 54 new homes. Lorson Ranch had a lot of growth with 146. The trails at Aspen Ridge, that's the kind of the area on the left, 53 new homes there, and that is technically in El Paso County. And then Bradley Heights, 80 new homes there, that is technically in Colorado Springs. And then again, here's the cottages at Mesa Ridge. These are duplexes, so 42 permits, 84 total units. The Enclave at Mountain Vista, this is off on the far eastern edge of Colorado Springs, Barnes and Mark Shuffle area, 77 new homes going in there. In the Elcott area, on the left, you'll see kind of a wide shot out on the eastern plains, and then on the right, you have a zoomed in shot of the Mayberry, 28 new homes going into that area. So here's a breakdown by neighborhood. This is not all Colorado Springs, not all county neighborhoods. Some of these are Colorado Springs. Banning Lewis led the way with 295, had a big increase in that area, up 84%. And then you have Falcon, Sterling Ranch, Lorson Ranch. So 3 of the top 5 are in El Paso County. On the commercial side of things, 154 permits for commercial projects in the county. That's down 27%. And I just pulled out a couple of high-profile projects that you might be interested in. Meridian Ranch Fieldhouse, $14.3 million project. The Horizon Middle School, that's a D49 school. A Lafayette Conference and Retreat Center. Falcon Water Treatment Plant. Bentgrass Plaza, that's a retail strip mall over in the Falcon area. Foundation Lutheran Church, and then the Falcon Fire Station under construction now in the Falcon area, $1.7 million project there. Commercial estimated valuations, $62 million, and then commercial alterations, we were up 13% in El Paso County. New multifamily, we only had 2 attachments permitted, so 0 new apartment projects getting permitted in the county. And then the apartments currently under construction, as I mentioned earlier, we have still more than 6,000 units. In the county, we have 216 units, and that's one single apartment complex, Mark Shuffle and Constitution area. So the green triangles that I've shown you, that is not available to the public, but what is available to the public is what you're looking at here. This is our public GIS mapping tool. This is a really cool feature that you can really get in there and filter down if you're looking for single family homes, if you want to see where the multifamily projects are happening. You can set a whole slew of parameters on the left, and then that will then alter the right, or the map that you see in the center. And then in the upper right, you can actually, they have a lot of layers. What you're looking at is the BOCC commissioner districts. We kind of have that mapped out, so then you can kind of take a look at that. You can pull up your commissioner district and see, okay, yes, this is the amount, or these are the projects that are happening specific in my district. We also have a tab off to the far right on that tool for plans. So this looks a little bit different, but this is, again, giving you an idea of the plans that have been submitted. So this is kind of our best gauge of what is going to be coming in the future. There's never a guarantee that a plan that gets approved will actually lead to permit. Normally it does. But again, this is our best guess at what is coming in the future. This slide really hasn't changed too much, something we're very proud of. We have the lowest fees in the entire state of Colorado, and if you compare to some other jurisdictions, particularly to our north, it's not even close. So that is something we're very, very proud of here in the Pikes Peak region. Last slide, I just wanted to mention that we have classes. We have 4 great classes to choose from. All of them are free. We have a Contractor 101 class that we offer on the first Wednesday of each month. We have a homeowner permitting class. We offered that for the first time last fall, and we have the second class coming up this Thursday, and we do have a couple of slots available if anybody's interested. We also offer a residential realtor class and a commercial property class. That's good for commercial brokers, but also good for small business owners, trying to help them make sure they find the right space, or in probably more importantly, make sure they don't find the wrong space that could end up being a headache for them down the road. So anybody that's interested in those, any of your constituents, they can sign up on our website, pprbd.org/education. And that is all I have for you if you have any questions for us.
Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, the first question on the homeowner permitting class. So if my kids were going to be building a house, would that be useful to them?
Yeah, absolutely. To be clear, this isn't a building class. We're not going to show anybody how to frame or how to do electrical or anything like that. What this class is, it's all about showing them kind of the process, how to get those plans submitted, how to pull the permits, what they need to know about pulling permits. And then, of course, we'll walk them through the inspection process, how to request inspections, how to use the website and things like that.
Okay, and then the other thing is, the other question I had, you might not know the answer. With all of the increase in apartments, are you seeing a decrease in rent?
We would not know the answer to that.
Okay,
Typically, once we just handle the building portion.
Sure.
And once the product is done per se, then it's all turned over to the developer, to the owner, and then they decide the rent. We have no involvement in deciding what the rent is or if it goes up or down or anything like that.
Yeah, keep hoping that with the more apartments we get, they'll become more affordable somehow. And then just finally, as I give my experience every year, but my mother-in-law is into her house in Las Vegas. Just so thank you that you can do permits on the same day. In the building of this house, first, you should never build a house if you're in your 80s. That's a big thing. But in the building of this house, in order to get the projects and the permits needed, sometimes they would just have to go down at 8 in the morning and sit in the office. Otherwise, it would be 3 to 5 months before they got the permit for what they needed. And they would just sit in the office and say, I'm not walking out until I get the permit. And so the ease of which we promote home building in El Paso County with our Pikes Peak Regional Building Department is a blessing to El Paso County, the city of Colorado Springs, because having to sit in a government office for 8 hours of your time, and frequently it was not my mother-in-law, it was my brother-in-law who was taking time off of his paying job to sit in that office for 8 hours to get a permit. That's just unacceptable for government to be doing that, or for a multi-governmental organization where we've combined with the Home Builders Association to get things done. It's unacceptable to have to sit and wait a long time for a permit when you're trying to do something. And so I really appreciate all of the work that your employees do, your board of directors, and just the regional building as a whole. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Other comments or questions? Commissioner Weissong.
Yeah, I have a question of one of the classes. Have you considered doing any kind of liaison training with the number of home inspectors that reside in El Paso County?
Yes, I have spoken with a number of home inspectors, and there is that common confusion, right? Sometimes people think a home inspector is the same as what our inspectors do. It is different. We've reached out to a couple of them and offered to do a class specifically for them, but we really just haven't heard back. I mean, if we could get a number of home inspectors together, that's something that we would be happy to offer to them. I think it would be good and helpful.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Applegate.
More of a comment, not really a question, but, you know, good on the regional department, good for them for doing the same day inspections, good for them for working with people, trying to help with the planning, trying to help, you know, these contractors and everything. So I'm familiar with the work, because like you said, I sat on the advisory board for about a year, so familiar with that. And I know how hard it is, you know, when you're a contractor and you're out there and you're on time crunches, and you're trying to get things done, especially when you're sub, and it's, you know, you got to move at the pace, you know, everybody wants to move at, especially in commercials. So, but that's good. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for your department just being open about everything. So,
yeah. Thank you, Commissioner.
I just want to check and see if Commissioner Bremer is still online. If so, if she has any comments or questions.
I am still online and just want to say thank you to PPRBD for showing us this information. I really appreciate the detailed level of what developments are happening in unincorporated El Paso County. You know, many of these come to us as land use issues, and it's hard to keep track of where in the staging any one project might be. So seeing this holistic, hey, here's a list of all the things that are actually underway is very helpful for us to understand kind of globally what's happening with development in El Paso County.
And I'll just add, I have obviously gotten a front row seat to seeing a lot of this information along the way. As I serve as the chair of regional building, there may be many who do not realize that, but I really appreciate this presentation. I always think it's great to give everyone that overview, as Commissioner Bremer talked about. And I too want to just say thank you for what you do. It's just really easy when you work in government to start thinking that you have to solve everybody's problems for everything. And before you know it, you are creating all kinds of red tape and regulation and problems that you just didn't see on the other side, and making it hard for those who are working out in the field and And Roger, you always do a fantastic job of this. All of the staff at Regional Building does a fantastic job of remembering that we need to make sure that we are looking at safety. We need to make sure that we are providing that proper role of government in that space, but we have to be very careful not to start to try to fix everything or do everything that everybody wants, because very quickly things get expensive and they get burdensome. And Regional Building has just done a tremendous job at balancing what is necessary to keep our community safe and not going so far as to create barriers to those in our community, the businesses, the people who, we're supposed to be here to support, right? Not run their lives, but support. And you guys just always do a really fantastic job of that. I agree, the same day inspections is one of those very, very valuable things I'm also very proud of, and continue to brag on Regional Building about those very, very low residential fees. And we know that there's been so much inflation. There's been, a lot of challenges, especially in the state of Colorado around that. And I know you are working very hard to keep those as low as possible. And remind me when it was the last time that we changed those fees.
Roger Lovell, Regional Building, the fees, excuse me. It's been at least 20 years since we've increased fees.
So I just want to point out that in 20 years, we've seen a staggering amount of inflation and changes to cost. And what that really means is that the Regional Building has done an incredible job at finding savings, finding ways to keep those costs down. That's the only way that you can keep those fees low. And so, I know that there may come a point where after 2020, something years that those have to increase slightly, but I'm still very optimistic that because Regional Building works so hard to keep those costs low, that even if it has to increase, that they will still be amongst the lowest in the state. And very grateful for the kind of work that takes. It'd be a whole lot easier to just raise them, but to do the actual work of finding the efficiencies, looking for the technologies, all the things that you have done are just truly tremendous. And then on top of that, just want to say a huge thank you for all the work that you do when it comes to legislation at the state. As we kind of mentioned earlier on that modular stuff, we have seen, and you all know this, but I think we have quite a few people here and maybe some folks online too. And I think it's always helpful to help educate on what this all looks like, because at the end of the day, you and I and the board over at Regional Building, we don't get to just make up everything we want. We are a local jurisdiction, but we are very much subject to rules that the state makes. They're constantly pushing down those rules. We do our very best to be flexible. You guys do a great job of finding where we can create flexibility for our community. But when the state creates things like the energy code that, are huge increases to the cost of a home, and then says, hey, we're trying to lower housing costs in Colorado. It's very frustrating to continue down that road. You guys do a great job of speaking into those processes, making sure that I'm well informed, that our staff and government affairs is well informed, that we're going up and we're making statements on those things. Really appreciate the work that you do, because it's not easy in a state that doesn't want to hear that their energy mandates are causing everyone's costs to go up. They don't want to necessarily hear that they're making promises out in public. Particularly our governor likes to talk about all the great things he's doing. In theory, they're not really coming to fruition when it really comes down to the policies, unfortunately. So really appreciate all of your work in that area, keeping me informed. And I know that we really are going to continue to work on that, whether it's this modular bill or other bills through this next session. So thank you. Any further comments?
Thank you for having us.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we are on item 9.
Item number 9 is public comment on items not scheduled on the agenda. This is the public's opportunity to speak on an item that is not scheduled on today's agenda. And Madam Chair, I'm aware of one person signing in ahead of time to speak and one person that would like to be called in.
Okay, I would invite you to come on down at this time. Remind you to please do, well, it seems like you've already signed in, but do state your name for the record and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay, thank you. My name is Chris Mattini, Commissioner Chair Geithner, Vice Chair Williams, Commissioners Wysong, Bremer, and Applegate. Thank you very much for having me. There's a lot I want to touch on in 3 minutes, so I'm going to talk fast. I'm here in response to certain comments made by some of you during last week's meeting. My thoughts cannot be fully expressed in 3 minutes, so I'm going to follow up with an email that goes into more detail and includes hyperlinks to research supporting my views. I look forward to your responses. First, while I don't always do this, I think it's appropriate, given the nature of your comments and my responses, to express my identity. I'm a white male, hetero, cisgender, able-bodied, and well-off. I am keenly aware of my privilege. Commissioner Geithner, you mentioned during your comments that you're looking forward to supporting certain components of Trump's agenda, including addressing what he called the social engineering of gender ideology. I happen to agree with you about protecting certain spaces for people born biologically female, including in sports. I disagree that there are only two genders. The science does not support this. Also, I have someone in my extended family who is transgender, and I know others. In their cases, in my judgment, it is not socially engineered. It's not a choice. Most rational people would not choose an identity that subjects them to the denial of that identity by the president of their country and people in their communities. And I hope that you are seeking out these people's perspectives as you craft policy. You also called diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts just a dressed up version of racism. I've been involved in DEI efforts for several years, and here again, I disagree. In my experience, these are simply efforts to open doors for the historically marginalized. To be clear, I do not care only about minorities. I sympathize greatly too with poor and working class white people who are having an increasingly difficult time in this country. One group I volunteer for focuses on helping these people, and I expressed my concerns for these folks in more detail in my email, but that was not a topic last week, so I move on in the interest of time. To immigrants, Commissioner Williams, you mentioned a visit you made to Ellis Island with your husband. You mentioned the reason that some immigrants are sent back, namely sickness or criminal records. You said you're looking forward to a stronger rule of law as it relates to immigration, and I agree fully. But I wish you had also mentioned, at least in passing, the immigrants that passed the screens, the families who come here because they are fleeing difficult situations. I wish you had mentioned how hardworking many of these people are and how critical their labor is to our economy. Why these omissions are important because you painted immigrants in a certain light, whether you meant to or not. Lastly, God. Commissioner Geithner, you mentioned how you were moved by Trump's mentioning of God in his inauguration speech. I too believe in a higher power, but I am wary of Trump's invocation of God. Why? Because I don't think that Trump acts in the spirit of God. For example, over decades, he has said and done many racist things and has proven himself to be a misogynist. I'll provide links to many dozens of examples in my email. And he just pardoned the vast majority of people, including leaders of white supremacist groups who took part in an insurrection that resulted in scores of injuries and 5 deaths. My God is nature, like the beauty that surrounds us here in El Paso County. My God is love. Nature is almost uncomprehendingly diverse. My God is diverse. My God is inclusive. Jesus cared first and foremost for the poor, the infirm, the kicked around, and the left behind. 5 seconds. And as you do your work, I implore you to listen to the voices that have struggled to be heard and to lift them up at the expense of my privilege, or at the very least, don't put them down. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak? Please do come forward. Again, you may sign in, state your name for the record, please, and you have 3 minutes.
Good morning, and thank you for your time. My name is Carl Levers, and I do not want to be here. I would rather have been able to drop my daughters off at school this morning, or be in my office running my business, or enjoying the outdoors on this beautiful day. But I feel compelled to come and speak this morning because of the Pikes Peak Library District Board of Trustees. I have been a resident of Colorado Springs for over 25 years, and until the last 6 months, I was blissfully unaware of how city and county government functioned. Perhaps I was naive, but I had faith and trust that my elected officials were operating in the best interests of the county and of the people who live and work here, the people who choose to make this wonderful place our home. That trust was broken with the Pikes Peak Library District Board's decision to close the Rock Rimmon Library rather than explore alternative funding opportunities. But on a foundational level, that trust was broken with the veiled selection process undertaken outside the view of the public that appointed the members of that board. I do not want to be here. I want to go back to trusting that my elected officials are acting in the best interests of the county, that you are doing your job with an eye towards solving problems rather than running from them. But that is a trust that will need to be earned back. That is a process that can start today with you. Because when a board is politically appointed, not elected by the people, the voice of the people cannot be heard unless it is spoken through you. So I ask you now to support a selection process that is transparent, to support a selection process that prioritizes financial and library experience, to support a selection process that does not tolerate cronyism nor political agenda. Andrew Carnegie once said, "A library outranks any other one thing a community can do to benefit its people." I believe that to be true. And I ask you to show us that you believe it too. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda, that's in the audience? Okay, do we have anyone online? Okay. Since we have no response from the individual we were trying to get online, we're going to ask one more time here and then we're going to move forward. Is there anyone else that's in the room today that would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? If you'd like to come on down. Again, the process here is to sign in, state your name for the record, and you may proceed for your 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Brooke Graves. I had not planned to speak to you today, but I must. First of all, I want to thank all of you for your service in this. I had no idea of the range of issues, problems, departments that you undertook. That agenda was about as varied as you could possibly get. And I understand that you have responsibility for appointed actors and you have no ability, basically, to oversee them. Of course, I'm speaking about the Pikes Peak Library District Board of Trustees. It's a little bit like you're a parent and you suddenly get a call from the police and say, hey, your kid is doing X, Y, and Z. And you had no idea. You trusted these people to act in a way that comported with the best interests of constituents. Unfortunately, That has been proven untrue. And now we have no alternative but to come to you and say, we have to get a bit of your precious attention on this issue because it is affecting a huge number of your constituents. The entire northwest side of Colorado Springs is without a service that it's had since 1989. The group of what was Save Rock Rimmon Library and now is COS Reads, a limited liability corporation, has offered all kinds of assistance. We've asked for nothing but to be allowed to help, and we have been stonewalled. The reasons we've been given are not supported by the financials. They're not supported by ethics. They're not supported by anything, and they will not tell us why this decision was made. What choice do we have but to say, follow the money? Thank you for your attention. I appreciate all of your service.
Thank you. And we're going to try one more time for the individual that was online.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, and you do have 3 minutes. Please do state your name for the record before you begin.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Joe Pelka. Some of you have heard me speak before, and I am speaking along with the two previous speakers regarding the closure of the Rock Rimmon Library. You may have thought that we were going to go away, but we just took a slight break for the holidays, and we are back in force, as you've heard from our two previous speakers. Some of you are aware of the situation, but I would like to welcome your two new members, Commissioners Wysong and Applegate, and let them know that we will be actively working to try to fix this injustice done by your appointees. Commissioner Wysong, we thank you for your support. It is very much appreciated. Right now, there is an opening in those positions. It's been open for almost a month, and we understand that you will be asked to make a selection. There were 51, or to my knowledge, there are 51 people that have applied for that position, but most of them didn't make the short list. I would ask that you would look at all of the applicants. Look to see who you think is best for the library district, someone that is looking to keep a library open and to open future libraries, not to close them, especially based on very dubious reasons. We ask that the process for the appointment be kept open and transparent and not business as usual and an old boy or sometimes an old girl network, as in the case. One thing to keep in mind is some of you don't want to take responsibility even though they are your appointees. We don't accept that. As Colin Powell said just before the first Gulf War, if you break it, you bought it. Well, your appointees have broken it, and you have bought it. We're asking you to fix it. First off, by appointing people that really do care about a library district and want to keep libraries open. Secondly, by those that are willing to look at the finances objectively. More importantly, we're looking for candidates that know finances and will look past the fluff and look at really what is important. A good example is when the district complained about some of the public information on the amount that this Rock Rimmon Library was costing. They made a big fret about that. We were saying it was less than, or it was approximately 0.4% of the budget. Well, the bottom line is when you use their numbers, it was 0.6% of the total budget. Quite frankly, what difference does it make? it was still a small part of the total budget. Thank you for your time. We look forward to working with you in the future.
Okay, and then a last call here for anyone who'd like to speak on an item not on the agenda. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to item 10.
Item number 10 is the called up consent calendar, and there are no items called up.
Okay, and I've had a request for a quick comfort break, so we are going to take a brief recess, and we will be back in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm going to call this meeting back to order, and we are on item 11.
Item number 11 is the resolution to approve the 2025 annual asphalt paving and preservation program. Jack Ladley, Interim Executive Director, Department of Public Works, and Joshua Palmer, County Engineer, Department of Public Works.
Good morning, Commissioners. Josh Palmer, County Engineer. I am here today to share with you our proposed 2025 paving and preservation list and give you some background and details on the program and the progress that we are making. Our objective for our maintenance program is really to just preserve the roadway infrastructure that we have. We want to extend the life. The longer a road lasts, the less expensive the road is to ultimately rebuild. We want to optimize our plan to get the best bang for our buck. And our goal really is an overall improvement to our pavement condition index. What this entails, our maintenance program very rarely deviates from the existing geometry of the road. So we typically don't add any lanes, any medians. We may improve slightly our shoulders if needed, but really it's just working within the existing geometry of the road, putting it back as best we can the way that it was. Just a little bit of information on our road system. You may often hear how we measure our roads kind of differentiate sometimes between actual miles and lane miles. And the way that's split up is a road from point A to point B may be 1 mile as the crow flies, but if there are 2 lanes in each direction, that would actually be 4 lane miles. So we kind of go back and forth sometimes in how we refer to our roads and how we measure it. So a little bit of information. In parentheses, just for comparison for 2023 there, but in 2024, we added about 23 additional centerline miles. our gravel road system, fortunately for 2024, remain the same. So most of the additional lane miles or center line miles that we've added were the result of new development. So new roads that were constructed as part of development in the county that the county is then accepted for ownership and maintenance. So in 2022, for the first time, as far as I know, the county did a full analysis and of our roadway system. So we drove every single mile of our roadway network. We used some pretty innovative for the county, but some pretty high level of technology in measuring and providing a three-dimensional analysis of our roadway network, laser crack measurements, light detection radar, also called LiDAR, and ground penetrating radar. We're going to drive our roads again and do another assessment in 2025. And our goal now is to add to the data that we collected in 22 to refine it, to really narrow down and really with the goal of creating region-specific plans. Right now, it's kind of a catch-all, but as everybody knows, as you commissioners know, the condition of our roads in Black Forest are very different than the condition of our roads in Fountain, in the Fountain area, and likewise on the west side in the mountains as opposed to out in the plains. Very different. So our goal now is we have a really good foundation of a very good understanding of our roadway network. Now we want to increase that. We want to improve on that. We want to start creating specific plans that are beneficial to the areas where these roads exist. I mentioned our PCI, our Pavement Condition Index. So it's kind of a snapshot view of where we were at the end of 23 versus where we were just recently at the end of 2024. Our average PCI in 2023 was 68.63. We had a goal of increasing that by 1, and we doubled our goal, and we increased our average PCI to just under 71. So about a 2-point increase year over year from 23 to 24. And our goal going into 25 is again about a 1-point increase. And this is our goal going forward, at least for the next 5 years. If we look at where our roads are going to be in the next 5 years, a broad view and a broad goal is to increase the overall condition of our road by 1 point per year for the next 5 years. And as you can see here, the important thing to focus on is the roads that fall into the good and satisfactory category. So the green categories there, those roads, the proportion of roads that exist in those categories improved in 2024, and the roads outside of those categories decreased slightly in each one. So that's our goal. Let's make an overall improvement, but let's really start addressing some of the roads that need some specific attention. So our program is paving and preservation. When we accept a new road, when a new road is built, the most effective and most efficient way to maintain that road is to preserve the road. And as you can see there in the orange, within the first 3 to 5 years is when we're going to start really looking at preservation. And it varies. It's all kind of relative to the ADT, the location of the road, the types of traffic that this road sees. But generally speaking, within the first 5 years, plus or minus, we're going to start looking at preservation. And over time, if with proper preservation, not only is the lifespan, the usable lifespan of our road increased, often doubling the lifespan of the road, but the cost that it takes to maintain that road over that time period is reduced. It costs about 5 times more to rebuild the road than it does to preserve a road. So not only are we getting an additional 10, 20, 25 years of life out of that road, but we're decreasing the cost that it takes to maintain it by 80%. Our new focus, not our new focus, because we've been doing this for a couple of years, but our focus now is optimizing an optimization plan for our network. This takes into account our budget, performance scenarios, timelines, the different roadway types. We enter all this data and all of our priorities into our pavement management software, and we can tweak it, we can refine it, we can adjust it as needed, and it will help us identify preservation types, pavement types, priorities, but ultimately how to optimize every dollar that we have to make it go as far as possible. And that's just a little bit of information, some historic information on our funding, going back to, at least through 2022, but definitely probably further than that. Our most consistent form of revenue for our paving and preservation program is PPRT. That's been consistent. Generally, over the last 3 or 4 years, we have about $16 million that we get from our PPRTA program. 13 million of that goes towards paving, and the other 3 million we allocate for our concrete works, our ADA compliance, our prep to pave work, curbs, gutters, sidewalks, those types of things. Now, in addition to our consistent PPRTA funding, over the last couple of years, we've had an increase, an influx of additional funding, and we kind of lump all of these different funding sources kind of in the category of additional funding requests. Oftentimes, they are the additional monies that the board provides to Department of Public Works. Sometimes that's combined with some ARPA money that we received in 2023. But essentially, it kind of shows you how our funding is allocated and kind of been distributed over the last few years. And this is just a little bit of context, just showing you kind of our purchase power. Commissioner Gardner, you talked about the inflation that we've seen. In some specific categories, we've seen 10, 20, 30, 40% increase in material costs. Since 2019, the cost of materials alone for our pavement work has increased by more than 50%. So while our funding has stayed relatively consistent, we've seen an increase just in material costs by over 50%. So obviously there's a direct correlation. The more it costs to pave a road, the less roads we're able to do unless we get additional money. And this is just some scenarios to consider that kind of shows the fragility of our roadway network. The first there, and I'll preface this by saying we would never not do anything. I mean, it would take something very catastrophic for us to never pave a road in a given year. But it just shows you, if we did nothing over the next 5 years, our average pavement condition index is going to fall to just over 60. So that's a 12-point decrease over 5 years. If we relied solely on our consistent PPRTA funding, again, not quite as drastic, but we would see a slight decrease over the next 5 years. Fortunately, with our goal of a 1-point increase and the additional funding that the board has been able to allocate to us, we can achieve that goal. So it'll cost us about $12 million a year in addition to our PPRTA funding if we want to increase by 1 point per year. This is just our process, and we're kind of off to the far right there. We do a complete analysis. We optimize, take into account our budget. We have informal discussions with the board to share our thoughts and our plans, with the ultimate goal to be to construction when we first can, which is generally about the end of April, and that's our goal this year. Kind of depends on weather, but once we start seeing consistently warmer weather, that's when we can get boots on the ground and start paving. And this is kind of how our paving program is going to be distributed relative to each district. So you can see there in the first column, these are the number of lane miles that we are planning to do per district, and with the number of lane miles in parentheses in 2024 for comparison. The third column there is the number of miles in each district, and then the final column is just the percentage of miles, lane miles in each district that we are planning to address this year as part of our paving program. And likewise, the same for our preservation program. Now, year over year, district to district, you may see a shift or an imbalance, and oftentimes it just kind of depends on the conditions of the road. Sometimes you may see a heavy presence for preservation in a given district, and the next year a lot more paving. It kind of goes back and forth, but we try to do as good a job as possible within our optimization plan of really hitting and really providing support to every district. Innovation, something that's not necessarily innovative or new to the industry, but really new to El Paso County. As of 3 years ago, we didn't have a preservation program. We did some crack seal, we did some chip seal, but that was really it. We focused really heavily on paving, and as we talked about, it's not as cost effective just to pave. So we really hit it hard with trying to find innovative processes to take advantage of technology that's out there to preserve. So cape seals, microsurfacing, wide crack repairs, these are all kind of tools that we have in our tool bag that we will apply as appropriate to a given road. And this is what I'm really proud of. So in 2025, we're really focusing on meeting our goals and being transparent and delivering at least delivering what we promised, hopefully delivering more. And that's what we were able to do in 2024. 16% more lane miles than we originally planned. So we come in very conservative with our road list because we want to have flexibility. Sometimes roads fall off the list. Sometimes they're addressed with utility work. Sometimes as part of our inspection process, they're not as bad or they're worse than we thought. So we are conservative in our approach with our list because we want to be flexible, but it also leaves us opportunities, hopefully, to be able to add more roads towards the end of a given year. So in 2024, 16% more lanes than we originally, lane miles than originally planned, 28% more roads specifically, and 16% of the entire network in our El Paso County was addressed with some type of paving and preservation in 2025, which is pretty impressive given that we have over 2,000 lane miles of paved road in the county. We are really working hard to partner with our contractors, our vendors, our community. Really, and I've seen over the last couple of years a decrease in some of the complaints and an increase in at least some of the recognition or appreciation, which we don't go into this for the accolades or a pat on the back, but it is nice when we hear that people recognize when we're doing good things. Kind of there at the bottom, but I'm going to jump ahead in partnering with our contractors. So last year, our preservation program won an award with the Colorado Asphalt Paving Association, and we won that same award again in 2024. We also added to that list a CAPA award for our paving program. So I want to recognize and thank our contracting partners. A1 Chip Seal, they did our preservation work, and Martin Marietta did our paving. So not only did they do the work that we were getting an award for, but they did all the work in applying for the award itself. So it makes it really easy. We can sit back and really take it in. So we continue our goal of being an award-winning agency. And that is it. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions if you may have them.
Questions or comments from commissioners? Vice Chair Williams.
I wanted to thank you. I was just thinking about a comment that a family member said to me yesterday. Sometimes it's so easy to be negative. And I remember when I started as commissioner, we were so far behind on roads. And you look at how many miles of roads we have. We have the paved miles, and then we have the gravel roads. And it felt like, I remember the first year we did the budget, we managed to get an extra $600,000 into roads. And so it's always felt like we're just climbing a mountain we can't quite get over. And in the past couple of years, we've changed our philosophy. And what it is we're highlighting the positive. And I really appreciate that. If you notice that we are preserving the good. And sometimes, yes, that means we'll pave 1 year and we'll come back and do something else the next year on it. And working very hard at the same time to take the ones that are failed and get them up. And I'll give you an example. My favorite road was Jesse Drive in Glen Eagle, a road that goes to Antelope Trails Elementary School, so it had a lot of cars on it. Totally failed road. Also had sidewalks and curbs. The issue with going in and replacing a road with sidewalks and curbs, which the city of Colorado Springs has found out, it's not the paving. It's not the grinding down to the dirt. It's upgrading the sidewalks and curbs to ADA standards. And that takes, sometimes with the city's 2C money, 56% of the budget. And you can know what the Jimmy John's orders are for the guys who are in there doing their curb and gutter. They're there for 6 weeks because I had my neighborhood's an older neighborhood in the city of Colorado Springs. It was done 3 years ago. Curb and gutter guys are there for 6 weeks. The paving guys were there for 2 days. And so we've been able to make upgrades in Glen Eagle, which has sidewalks. And we've been able to make upgrades out in Paintbrush Hills in Falcon. And just in December and coming into Commissioner Applegate's term, we're going to be able to do Colorado Center, which is the other really bad neighborhood we have. And so we look at those all on one side of the pie chart, but then we look at all the improvement in just the good roads, and we keep improving those. And so it's a very incremental approach. It's not like I'm going to solve the problem today with an extra $30 million. It's today we've set a plan that maybe 12 years down the road, will be up to 80 pavement quality index or something, and we'll slowly get fewer and fewer of those roads that are in really bad condition fixed. And so I hope as we continue, I just really appreciate the job that this department is doing, our Department of Public Works. I appreciate the leadership of Kevin Maston, Jack Ladley, and having you as our county engineer. I think it can be a tough job to take citizen complaints about roads. We're all armchair engineers, and especially me, because I grew up in an engineering family, so I'm more of an armchair engineer than most, but I really appreciate the work that we're doing to make sure that every road gets better. And I know that I have a lot of constituents that anxiously look forward to this day. And so I have some happy constituents today as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments or questions from commissioners? Commissioner Weissong?
Mr. Palmer, got a question.
Sure.
Do you feel that the road preservation program that you've implemented, did it meet DPW's expectations?
I would say it exceeded our expectations. Yeah. I had a 5-year plan, and our 5-year plan, I think we accomplished that, the initial goals within the first 2 years. So I think it's been more than successful. Yes.
Okay, well, good. So a follow-up. What other technology or processes are there out there that might even make it more feasible to save money and or do additional lane miles as far as your data analysis?
Well, something I didn't mention that we are really going hard in on is kind of from the contractual side. So what we've done historically is we have a package of, for example, $5 million of concrete work. We put that out to bid. We get one contractor. We give them a list of roads and sidewalks that we want done, and then we let them go about it. What we did for the first time last year was, rather than going out for one bid and one contractor, we got a list of pre-qualified contractors. So I think we had a total of 5 or 7 pre-qualified contractors that we were able then to assign tasks to relative to their availability, the resources. It helped us negotiate better prices amongst, and it kind of distributed the work amongst some of the larger contractors and maybe some of the smaller contractors. It was so successful. We're going to start applying that this year in 2025 to our guardrail and our bridge program as well. So we found we've been really successful in getting a larger list of smaller tasks assigned, gets us better pricing, better schedules. We finished 2 months early last year, as opposed to the year before when we were still paving in December. So just from the contractual side, we have, I don't know if you would call it innovative, but it's a different way of looking at it. We tried it with concrete, which is a relatively small program, comparatively speaking, been very successful. So I would not be surprised if we start applying that to more of our work. One of the things we're really looking at now, kind of speaking about three-dimensional, is the road, the pavement is only good as the condition of the soil that you build it on, right? So going back 10, 20, 30 years, our criteria and our specs have evolved over those years. The way that a road was built 20 years ago is no longer the way that a road is built now. So we don't hold that against anybody, but we're looking for how do we do that? Rather than going in and rebuilding a road, what can we do to stabilize the existing subgrade? If a road is built on native material, we would never do that now, but it doesn't mean that there aren't plenty of roads that exist that way. So how can we go in and cost effectively improve the subgrade, which would give us a longer lasting and less expensive pavement to maintain? So.
Oh, excellent. And just for some of the people that are here, received 2 calls, one last week and one yesterday, about the potholes and the pavement, and I said, well, whereabouts are you asking? Well, on 19th Street and middle of the city. And so I had the opportunity to explain to her. I said, well, there's city and there's county. So for everyone that's here or listening or may rehear the meeting, that there is a difference between what you're doing in the county and what the city does. So again, great job.
And I would say that The city does a lot of great things. All of our partner agencies and PPRTA do a lot of great things with the money that they have. But I will say, I think the county is unique because every dollar that we get through PPRTA or that's allocated from the board, we put directly into paving. We don't hire consultants. We don't buy equipment. We put 100% of that goes right into our roads, whether it's through contractors or materials that we use in-house. So I think it's very unique to the county, and it's kind of our commitment towards spending every dollar that we can to improve our roads.
Commissioner Applegate?
Mostly just a thanks. So thanks for stretching $1 on those paving. I mean, as we've seen, you know, in your numbers there, I mean, asphalt's gone up in the last 5 years, and without raising taxes, without a lot of fee increases, you've managed to continue to pave, preserve the roads, do what you can to maintain, you know, with asphalt, the price is just slowly but surely going up every year, it seems like. So I appreciate that. Thanks for staying on it and
Thank you.
making all our lives easier. So
Vice Chair Williams.
Yes, I wanted to make one more comment, and I don't know if Commissioner Bremer is still online, but you'll notice she lives in District 3, which is almost 100% city, and she's getting the most paving done. That's just because she has about 6 miles of road in her district that's county, and they're all getting done this year, and I know right where they are. And so she said it was a wonderful surprise to her, but I don't think she's getting any special favoritism because that's probably all of the roads in her district are getting paved this year. So we just wanted to point that out for her. And they do need it very much. They need drainage. It'd be nice if we could get them up to city standards so the city could take them over permanently. Thank you.
So I thank you, Commissioner Williams, for bringing that up. And I did speak with Commissioner Bremer briefly in our break. And so she did ask to make sure that we did say thank you for the work in Park Vista, that she is very excited about that. And yes, it just happens to be that almost every single road in her district is under the city jurisdiction, but it is exciting, I know, for her, and she's very grateful. So she's sorry she had to drop off. We were hoping we could get there. It just didn't quite work out in the timing, and we had some technical difficulties with seeing her on the screen, trying to get our attention to make those comments before she left, but she was incredibly grateful. I'll just add a bit here. My colleagues have said it very well. You know, for the public, we have the opportunity to see this presentation. So Commissioner Bremer got to see this presentation in an informal meeting previous to this meeting. And I said this in our informal, and I think it's important that I say it here. A few years ago, when this board voted on whether or not to go to the ballot to ask for a Tabor retention, I was a no vote on that. And I had a lot of people ask me why when we needed more work done on our roads. And I was very clear that I 100% support our roads getting as much funding as we can as their existing budget. However, I very much think that we need to work within the budget that the citizens have already given us. And I could not, in good conscience, go to the citizens and say, I think we've done everything that we can do with the current dollars that we have. And I shared that pretty vocally, and sometimes we don't always agree here. It was a 3-2 vote, though the voters decided not to allow that retention. And I spoke with our county administrator, Brett Waters, at length about my frustration around saying we need to have a plan. We have to have something measurable that we can show our results, that we are getting results for the dollars that we have. I couldn't be more proud of what this presentation is today. And I don't want it to go unmarked how remarkable it truly is what has happened in public works over the last couple of years. That award may not be why you do it, but it is a testament to the work that's been put in. And to me, the biggest thanks is that I have seen the change in my district. I, often talk about how I'm the only commissioner that lives in the unincorporated area, which means I'm driving on these roads from the time I leave my house, a good portion until I get into the city to get down here to work. And it's very important to me and my neighbors to make sure that we have not just good roads today, but a good program in place to continue that. And I feel very confident that that is now happening here at the county. I was able to, I mentioned during my comments earlier, talk about a group of constituents that I was able to speak to on Saturday out in Falcon. And I got to share a lot of this new information about the things that we're doing and the effect that it's having. And they're very happy. They're really happy to hear about the new program that we have here. I think that there's a lot of sharing that we need to do about this topic, because one of the things that I think can be a little difficult to understand for residents is when we talk about preservation, we're talking about going in and touching those roads more frequently before they get too bad. And so sometimes we'll hear, why are you doing this road again? You just did this one 5 years ago, but you haven't done this one. And that is part of the process of going in, touching those roads before they get to that lower level, so that we can deal with the roads that are already at a bad level, saving that money so that we can hit more of those at a time as well. And so it's a different philosophy, and I know we're going to get a lot of questions about it, but I'm so proud of the work that's been done here. Huge thank you to our County Administrator, Brett Waters, and his leadership on this as well, because it is probably, in my opinion, the thing I'm the most proud of and the most impactful that I have seen in terms of our infrastructure here at the county in my 4 years so far. So huge thank you for that, and looking forward to seeing this being carried out. So with that, I'll ask, are there, again, any additional questions or comments from commissioners? And if not, I believe we will be ready for a motion.
I will move approval of the resolution to approve the 2025 annual asphalt paving and preservation program.
Second.
Okay, that has been moved in second. Any additional questions or comments? All right, actually, we probably should actually back up here a moment and do a excuse Commissioner Bremer from this vote. So as I'm looking over at our clerk, can we go ahead and do a motion for that? Okay.
I move to excuse Commissioner Bremer.
I second.
Okay, moved and seconded. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Weissong.
Aye.
Commissioner Applegate.
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 4-0. And now we'll return to that original motion, which was the motion to approve the 2025 annual asphalt paving and preservation program. That was moved and seconded. And I will call the roll. Commissioner Weissong.
Aye.
Commissioner Applegate.
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 4-0. Item 12.
Item number 12 is department and committee reports, non-action items, and there are none.
Item 13.
Item number 13 is the addendum. 13A, resolution expressing El Paso County's commitment to supporting President Trump's policies. Carrie Geithner, Chair, Board of County Commissioners.
Hello, Commissioners. Ryan Parcell, Director of Government Affairs. I know that this is under Commissioner Geithner's name for the purposes of the agenda, but just to kick off the discussion today, Commissioners, each of you have a copy of the proposed language in the resolution as directed, and I have copies, hard copies available for anybody in the audience as well that would like that, so for your consideration and your vote.
Thank you so much. Okay, I will go ahead and just talk a little bit about this resolution from my perspective, and then I'll, as my name is on here, but then I will, obviously open the floor to any comments that want to be made or questions as well. But I think this is a very important step for us to take. And the reason I think that this is important, we work on a day-to-day, we talk a lot about transparency, and we try to be very transparent here. But at the same point, we do a lot of work on a daily basis that doesn't happen in a public meeting. And that's just the nature of the job that we have here. We can't be on camera every day, all day, because we are working with staff, we're doing all of these things. And so I thought it was very important that we communicate both with the public, with our organization, how we are dealing with the change in the federal administration. I am incredibly optimistic, and I am seeing that hope reflected in a lot of our community. But there are many things that we have challenges with our state here. And a lot of the executive orders that are coming down there's going to take some time for us to figure out exactly what these mean for us as a local government. Because of the way that our government is set up, our state has a lot of purview to make decisions, but there are still a lot of things that we think will impact us, particularly around federal funding. And that's one area that I have been very paying a lot of attention to as these executive orders come down, is where federal tax dollars can now be spent. But it's going to take some time to figure this out, and we want to be, I think, in complete compliance with the federal government. We want to support, and I certainly do, I'll speak for myself here, I certainly support President Trump's policies. I stayed up reading executive orders that I was really grateful for, and again, many of them are going to be in conflict with some of our state laws. That's going to take some time for us to figure out how that will all work together. There will certainly be many lawsuits. There are already some that are already have already kicked off, and we'll have to wait for a bit of guidance. But to the very fullest extent of the law, I want us to be cooperating and supporting and working with the Trump administration on making some of these changes, because I believe that they are for the betterment of our community. I believe our voters very clearly support President Trump, and they want to see these things here too. It's very hard to live in a state that does not respect a lot of the same things that we do locally. In particular, I am going to say I am looking forward to seeing how the courts sort out our constitutional rights as it involves compelled speech on some of these issues, particularly around pronouns and gender ideas. Those things are in conflict with our state. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the courts sort that out. And I'm very hopeful that we will see protections of religious freedom, that we will see protections of women's spaces in particular, that we will see a move away. And I have been very vocal about this here. I don't want to see our federal tax dollars that, again, we all pay into. I don't want to see those used to promote things that I think are very divisive and not good for our society and our community. I want to see them promote the family values, the community values that we have here. And I am hopeful that some of these executive orders are going to give us the ability, and that the federal government is going to back us up on that ability to use those federal dollars in a way that complies with these executive orders. So I have the greatest confidence in our staff that are already working on this, but I wanted to make sure that it was clear throughout our organization what the expectation was, that we don't have any resistance to doing our very best. And like I said, within the full extent of the law in Colorado. And quite frankly, if we find places where the law of Colorado is restricting us from going down this road, we want to identify those, because we want to go fight those at the state. We want to be given the ability to protect the values of this community. So want to be clear that staff is already doing a fantastic job on this. And this is just to make sure that everyone is clear on what we are doing here at the county. So with that, I will ask if there are additional comments or questions on this resolution.
I do have some comments on the resolution. I wanted to make sure that if there was public here to talk on it, we have time for that. I have been exceptionally impressed with the speed of this presidency. Maybe it is because maybe it's because I'm an elected official and we've struggled so much with the overflow of immigrants into our country, or maybe it's because of the way things have gone the past 4 years. But it's amazing to me. Somehow I got on the Office of the White House press release, executive orders email, and I tried to keep my email box pretty clean, and within the first 2 days I had 30 emails from the Office of the President, to the point that I nearly unsubscribed from those emails. I think that what this president is doing, whether we like it or not, and I happen to like it, but he is sparking a lot of discussion. It is one of the fastest rollouts of executive orders and requests for action that I have seen. The immigration situation in our country has been a problem for a very, very long time. I remember when President Reagan addressed the immigration situation, and that's been a good 30 years, almost 40 years, and we still have yet for Congress to act and clean up our immigration laws so that people can come into this country in an orderly manner. We are a free country. We want to welcome as many people as we can, and there need to be requirements for there to come in. And Congress has just failed to take action on this, and I look forward to seeing them taking more action now, as the Republicans in Congress have promised. We'll see if that happens. The reason why this is so important for our county is we are, in many respects, an extension of the federal government. For example, we run the Department of Human Services program, which is a very specific federal government program. There are 64 counties. We do things based upon what the state tells us to do. But to see some of the things that have come down, securing our borders, making sure that the people who do come into our country are not criminals, deporting the worst first. I was listening to an interesting discussion last night on TV about tariffs. I don't, and when I say the worst first, I'm meaning the criminals. I was listening to a discussion last night on tariffs, and I am more of a person who doesn't agree with tariffs. I agree more that things should be produced in a competitive environment. And so to listen to the discussion on tariffs was very fascinating to me. I do appreciate the effort to make sure that women are women when they're involved in sports, and men are men when they're involved in sports. And I am very much looking forward to that. So I am in support of this resolution. It will be fascinating to see how these things come down. I appreciate our staff, both our county attorney and our county administrator, for taking time to look at, and the bandwidth to look at these policies as they come down and to see how they affect our local government. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Commissioner Weissong.
I'm going to take a little different approach. I also approve this resolution, but as Mr. Palmer was just talking about, the price of asphalt increased 50%, and we get asphalt basically from petroleum. So with the fact that we're going to be able to drill, that hopefully will help the county in the sense that the price will go back down, and we'll actually be able to utilize those same funds and increase the road miles that we'll be able to pave, preserve, which is going to make it that much nicer for all of us. Taking that same impact on inflation, listening to a large group of economists over the weekend, and they were basically stated that today's purchasing power income is less today than it was 4 years ago. So all of these inflation reduction programs will ultimately help all of the citizens in the county, especially for those that the last time they bought a carton of eggs. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The original job of the presidency was set up was to protect the American people. And if we can't secure our own border, I mean, that's the root of it right there. It's people that ICE is finding. They're human trafficking, they're drug trafficking, they're gun runners, they have ties to the cartel. It's the idea that ICE is moving in, taking them out of these communities, locking them up, putting them in whatever respective jail, cell, prison they belong in. It's a wonderful thing. It's going to keep communities safe. There are actually, too, I heard a statistic the other day, self-deportation. They assume that close to 1,000 members, and these people are with cartel ties, have already gone back to their respective countries because they've realized President Trump's going to come. ICE is going to come. They're going to get detained, and they're probably going to get locked up for a long time if they don't just go back to their country of origin. So, love it.
Okay. I'm going to add one last comment here because so much of this conversation around immigration, illegal immigration, is an important part. We've taken quite a stand on illegal immigration here, and I continue to fully support that. I mentioned in my earlier comments about some of the work that's already being done in Aurora and Denver. I believe the number I saw was 41 illegal aliens were detained who had ties to Tren de Aragua and other cartel connections. And I just, it makes me feel safe again as a citizen to know that these things are happening. And I think we have to absolutely point out, there was a congressional letter that was sent to the mayor of Denver asking him to come and speak to the sanctuary city policies that they have. I find it very interesting that we now have pointing fingers between the Denver mayor and the governor of Colorado, with the governor of Colorado saying we're not a sanctuary state in any way, shape, or form, and yet he, that being the governor, signed laws signed bills into law that absolutely are preventing local law enforcement from cooperating to the full extent with ICE. One of those things is detainers. The mayor of Denver actually talked about this very specifically and said, you know, nobody can honor detainers in Colorado. That's Colorado law. And again, to see the governor come out and say, we don't have any of those sanctuary laws, there's no more lying and hiding behind pointing fingers, I don't think, going to happen anymore with these investigations. I think our politicians who have not been honest, who have tried to, you know, skirt the reality of these laws and their impacts on local governments are being uncovered, both by these executive orders and through these congressional investigations. And I'm certainly looking forward to it. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention what an advocate that our sheriff has been on these issues, that we are going to be taking a position on repealing some of those terrible sanctuary laws. Let's hold Governor Polis accountable. If we are not a sanctuary state, repeal the laws. Little bit of additional commentary on the legislative portion, but really grateful that we are taking this step and thankful for the support of my colleagues on this resolution. And with that, I will ask if there's anyone here who'd like to speak on this item. Please do come on down. And just as in our other public comments, please do sign in and state your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Halverson, and I don't want to take 3 minutes, but I just want to say thank you. It's very refreshing to sit in on this meeting. I've never been to one before. We came as a group. We're all practical government students at Karis. And I'm so glad that you are being very positive about what President Trump is doing, and you are standing up and backing for the citizens here. I really would like to have a copy, all of us would in class, of what this resolution is, to see it in print so we can read it. And we want to stand with you and with our fellow citizens as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know we've got staff sharing copies of that resolution for anyone in the building who'd like to have that. Okay, with that, one more call for questions or comments on this. I think that it has been properly moved and seconded, if I am remembering correctly. Did we not? Okay. Well, I will go ahead. Sorry, thank you for our clerk keeping me on my toes here. A little bit different than what we normally do, because we kind of have this procedure for proclamation, but if it's okay with my fellow commissioners, since I was listed in the sponsor this, I would like to move approval of this resolution.
Second.
Okay, that has now been moved and seconded, and I will call the roll. Commissioner Weissong.
Aye. Commissioner
Applegate.
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 4-0. Item 14.
Item number 14 is the executive session, and there is no request for executive session.
Okay, with that, we've come to the end of our agenda, and this meeting is adjourned.